just can't give it up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes sir, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy D Nolly, aka Don Squally, and today we are back with another Nissan Altima video. I've kind of been toying with the idea of getting a different wheel and tire setup for this car. I'd really like to upgrade the G35 rims and tires next season as well. But most definitely, I was thinking about throwing my drag tires, which you guys may have seen a video on in the past, onto this car because they are kind of heavy. I did get a nice set of rubber to go on those wheels, but they're just not what I need for the track. So I was thinking of either selling my drag wheels or throwing them on this car. Now the wheels that I was thinking of throwing on this car are these Ion Alloy 16-inch wheels. They do have a nice skinny set of, what are these things, Nankings I think. The tires themselves are really nice and sticky, but for the G35, I'm just getting a little too much wheel hop with this setup at the track. So I'm thinking of going for a track setup with the G35, a smaller diameter wheel, and a tire with a little bit more rubber. So I was thinking of selling these, but the offset is nice and aggressive on these tires. So I was thinking what I was going to do is throw them on the Altima, then kind of test fit the Wish budget wide body fender flares on this car. I think it would look really sick on this Altima. You don't see too many Altimas with aggressive wheel setups and fender flares on them. Now I'm not exactly sure how far these tires here are going to stick out on the Altima, which is why I kind of wanted to test fit them today. Now I do only have 2 of these rims currently, but I found out where I can get these for relatively cheap, about 120 bucks a piece just for the rim. Then obviously I would have to get some tires for those rims. But what I want to do for today's video, test fit these wheels on the Altima. We're going to test fit them first without the fender flares. Then I'm just going to use some 2-sided tape, throw the fender flares on real quick just to see how it looks, see if they poke out far enough to fill up the fender flare. And if I like the way that these look today, we might go ahead, order 2 more of these rims, and then throw them on next season. But what I think I'm going to do now is just go ahead, jack the car up, pull the 350Z wheels off, and test fit these real quick and see how they look. I'm pretty excited, man. I hope you guys are looking forward to this video. With that being said, let's get into it. Alrighty, so we've got the wheels on. I'm going to go ahead, drop the car down. Sits a little bit lower because the wheel diameter is actually much smaller than the 350Z wheels. But what I'm going to do is just jump up and down, see if I can get it to settle a little bit more. And as you can see, we've got a little bit of wheel gap in the rear here, about 2 inches up front. But overall, the reason that I wanted to go with these wheels is just because I really like the poke. As you can see, about 1.5 inches up front. Then we got about 2 inches sticking out at the back here. You can see a whole lot of tire. So now what I wanted to do is get these fender flares here and just kind of mock them up. See if it's something that we can even do and make it look halfway decent. I'm gonna go ahead, throw these on with just some 2-sided tape because obviously I'm not gonna be drilling into the car today. I'm gonna clean these up and then we're gonna go ahead and see what this looks like. Alrighty, so just threw on some foil tape. The 2-sided tape was a little too cold to work here, so I'm just gonna go ahead, fit this up as best that I can. Give her a couple of presses here. And that doesn't look too bad. The wheel is sunk in a little more than I would like, but what I'm gonna do is go ahead, throw the fronts on. I'm gonna clean up the wheels and the fender flares, and then we're gonna do a little bit of walk around once they're both. Alrighty, just gonna throw the front on here real quick, line it up as best that I can. And that's looking pretty decent. Obviously, if I were to put these on, or when I decide to put them on, if I do, I'd be using screws and actually screwing it into the fender. I was a little hesitant to do this on the G35, but I think the Altima is enough of a beater that I really wouldn't care that much. So I'm gonna go ahead, clean everything up, and we'll do a little walk around here. Alrighty, so fender flares are on, wheels are on, and I gotta say, I don't think this is gonna work too much. I'm gonna need at least a 1-inch spacer to get this out as far as I want. The rear isn't as bad, but as you can see, it's just, they're sunk in a little too much. Now, to be honest, I actually didn't mind the way they looked without the fender flares, which I think might be the way to go. Now obviously I only have the front springs installed, so I feel like if I installed the rear springs, get that wheel gap just a little bit smaller up at the top with the amount of poke and width that these wheels do have, I feel like it wouldn't be entirely terrible. But with the fender flares, these things are just way too aggressive for this to work. Even if I took off the fronts and just left the back, like the back fender flares, they don't, yeah, they're pretty sunk. I just gotta say, this ain't it, chief. This ain't it, chief. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna do like budget wide body stand stout build. Now right here, I'd actually either have to pull off the rear mud flap or trim this in order to get it to sit flush. Yeah, I don't really think that's gonna work. If I were to install them, I would actually paint match them to the car. I mean, side profile, yeah, this just ain't gonna work with these wheels. I was hoping I can get away with it, that there was maybe enough of an offset for them to look halfway decent. But I don't think these are gonna work unless I get some serious spacers here. Back up to see if we can get that screenshot for the thumbnail. But yeah, I can't lie, I'm not too impressed with the way that these fender flares are looking right now. Like I say, we'd need a serious spacer in order for this to actually sit flush. These are pretty wide. I think 3 inches is how wide these fender flares were. And up front, that's definitely a no-go. So I'm gonna pull these off. And as you can see, we got quite a bit of wheel gap back here. Now I do still have the rear lowering springs. That will drop this about 2 inches, which would pretty much even it up with the front. Maybe even drop it a little more. We got about 3 fingers width right there. Now the car, since I put on the wheels, even though I was jumping up and down on it, it's probably not going to settle until you actually drive it around the block. But I gotta say, I'm not really 100% sold on these wheels. Even without the fender flares, they still look a little too small. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments section of this setup. Now the poke, The poke is right around where I want to be, but I'd need to either drop the back or get a bigger tire. Like this sidewall right here is like low profile. Pretty much the same profile as this tire, but the only problem is this is an 18-inch wheel and those are actually 16s. But I think if I were to mess around and get some half-decent tires that fit this car a little better, I mean, I really like the poke. I really like the stance. It's just, yeah, I'm not really too sure. I mean, I just don't feel like this is the most ideal setup for this car. But let me know what you guys think. If you think I should stick with these wheels, find some better tires, and lower the rear, or scrap this set of wheels. I could probably sell these for around $300-400 bucks. There's a brand new set of Nanking tires on the back. I think NS2R or whatever they're called, the drag setup. I was thinking maybe of keeping them and trying to take the Altima to the track and see what it can run. But to be honest, I think if I'm not going to keep these wheels and use them for the G35, I'd probably be, oh, shout out Beater Altimas, I'd probably be selling them and trying to find something with a half-decent offset. But that's pretty much all that I wanted to do for today's video. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed with the way that the setup looked. I thought it would look 10 times better. I don't think I'm gonna be running those fender flares unless I get some legit wide wheels, which I'd probably have to cut out the front and rear arches in order to fit a bigger, wider set of wheels. But overall, let me know what you guys think of this video. It is winter, so I'm just kind of, you know, toying around with a couple of ideas. There's not really much going on. I was thinking of buying another project car, but the one that I was looking at actually sold. So I think instead of buying another car, well, it wouldn't have been a project. It would have been a pretty nice car just for the channel. I think instead of doing that, I'm going to try to seriously look into finding some boost for the G35, because I'm sick of toying around with the NA, struggling to get 13s, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, the car ran 13s, it's just not consistent, and I feel like with a little bit of boost in my life, I'd have a lot more fun. But that is about it for today's video, so if you guys did enjoy this one, don't forget to smash that like button. If you guys want to see more and you're not subscribed yet, definitely do so. And we're going to catch y'all mofos at the next one, man. Peace!